What's up guys? For today's video, I'm going to show my current deck build for the standard, which is the Rakdos Midrange deck, which I played in the recent weeks, which also decided that we're going to share to you the build in which I somewhat adjusted to that of our local metagame. So going first, we're going to divide, of course, the creatures, the spells, choices, the other support, Planeswalkers, and the division of also the sideboard. So we're going to start off with, of course, our creatures. Let me just get that pile. So this is for the Planeswalker and the spells pile. So this one for the creatures. First up is a playset of Blood-Tide Harvester. So this is probably still Rakdos' best 2-drop in the current format, in which you can still get some blood tokens, which is then used to filter out your hand just in case, and also being basis for a spot removal for this harvester's ability. And for another 2-drop here is Nature's Underdog. This is more of a not only aggressive in a way 2-drop because of the Blitz ability, wherein you can still cast it from graveyard, and that would be really relevant in the mid game up to the late game. So you still get those threats despite controlling your opponent's board. And for our 3-drops, we have 3 copies of Graveyard Trespasser. There's still the ability and the ward ability that can protect itself, and also exiling necessary creatures from your opponent's graveyard for a bonus life drain damage. And of course, the bonus is that if you're able to flip this one into a Graveyard Glutton, then the ability would also go to trigger exiling up to 2 cards from graveyards. So that's the 3 copies of that card. We also have 3 copies of sort of a pseudo 3-drop here, but it's going also the late game with 7-drop. That is for the 7 mana. We have Phyrexian Freshgorger. So in a way, for the early curve, you can just cast this one for its prototype cost. It becomes a 3/3, 4/3, with also the Bennett's lifelink and the ward equal to its power. Thus, your opponents may need to pay life in order to remove them. And also in the late game, you might be able to top deck this and pay for its hard mana cost, that is 7. 7 colorless or any mana per se. Now for our 4-drops, we're going to go with, of course, Sheoldreds, and a lone 5-drop here, which is the Sheoldred from March of the Machines. But first, we're going to take a look again. Of course, Sheoldred is very staple for this build because its ability that can just run off draw effects by making them lose life. At the same time, whenever you gain life, you will draw a card in this setup. Now for the lone Sheoldred for the 5-drop, this is ability that when it enters the battlefield, you may have your opponent sacrifice an untoken creature or Planeswalker. And option also that you can pay 5 to flip this into a saga. But the drawback is that you would need to have your opponent's 8 or more cards in the graveyard, which is quite not in accordance with the Trespasser. But nevertheless, if able, you would be able to have that situations. You will have to get this benefit of the true scriptures. So it has its several trigger for the lore counters added in the saga effects, which is very much I think is backbreaking. Mostly you have won the game for that time that will be able to flip that one. Now going for the spells, and of course what really popped up with the mono black or Rakdos deck are the spot removals. We have a playset of Go for the Throat. We have a Grixis command as sort of a utility card. It's also kill off creatures. Also, you can be able to return 2 creature cards from the graveyard, and 2 copies of Sheoldred's Edict. So this is also a utility spot removal depending on situations that can also deal with Planeswalkers. We have 2 copies of Lurrus, and this very also a good sweep main deck, especially for the soldiers or other aggro decks. And 3 cockdowns, so it's going well with the curve, so that as early as turn 1 you can be able to kill off your opponent's creatures. And for the utility support are your Planeswalkers. So we have Glenna with the Veil for Edict effects and also discard ding against mid-range and control matchups. We have also Vraska, Betrayal Sting for your spot removal and also proliferate and card draw. And of course a lone copy of Phyrexian Arena. Now for the lands, it is pretty much very basic, but I mean that is that we just have a few mana fix with the Black Leaf Cliffs, We also have Haunted Ridge, so that's those, and of course Lurrus Springs, along with this basic of Swamp, utility Channel Lands, Takinuma, also with this one Sokansan, and 2 Mountain to add this one, and of course a sort of a other way to win the deck or win the games is to produce these tokens with the Mirex. So that is 2 Mirex main deck. So that is your other ways that you can have creatures while also dealing with your opponent's creatures. And for the sideboard, we have still sort of a package here. So my sideboard consists of the following. We have 2 Archfiend of the Draws, 2 Breach the Multiverse, 1 Bird on the House, 2 Little Mantic Barrage, 4 Duress, 2 Omnisilist Adversary, 1 Reaction Arena, and Alone, Razor Last Transmogrant. So just a quick explanation regarding the matchup. If for other, let's say other aggro decks that in a way can gun up the board, we can switch to the Archfiend of the Draws so that we can be able to attack in the air, in which the drawback here would be the all counters, but we don't need to worry about that because we also have Vrashka to proliferate those, and a bonus damage that whenever a creature upon control dies, they would lose 2 life. So that way you can just switch off some of the irrelevant creatures here and go wide and go big up in the air with Archfiend. And for mid-range matchups, especially those with Atraxa decks, we can use Breach the Multiverse against them since we are going with the long game. 7 mana is just not really hard to cast against those, and we can also use Duress and Omnisilist Adversary to pressure their hand, so they would lose 2 life through this one and Casualty X. And for not only used here for the mid-range and control matchups, but also those in instance if they are on the play for mono red aggro decks. So they are also using battle cards and non-creature spot removals or burn spells that we can also discard from their hand before they would be able to use those. And of course, Burn on the House against also for aggro, and could be used also for control if you could be able to create these double tokens. Little Mantic Barrage obviously for blue-white soldiers and other mono-white based aggro, and Omnisilist again is for the mid-range, partnered with Reaction Arena, and also this can be used against maybe from Dimir since they are having non-basics in their deck, or for Esper control, which you can just pay 2 to return. And to make sure that you can have this package, you just basically cut off all of the spot removals on this pile. So that's about it for the sideboard options here. So overall, I think pretty much that's the deck build for this one. It's just pretty straightforward if you love to be having some control spells, taking advantage of your cheap creatures that can also benefit from that spot removal effects, or creatures in your graveyard for your opponent, and also go late game with some of the Vraska and Sheoldred, and also hardcasting Flesh Gorger against your unprepared opponents. So I guess that's about it for this black-red mid-range deck discussion. You can comment below what you'd advise or the changes you would have on this build, and so that we can have a good discussion how this deck could improve depending on the current meta game that we can also base upon as we update this in the succeeding weeks. Again guys, thank you for checking this one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, notifications bell for more of this content, and see you on the next video.